So let's make a start with anxiety. Anxiety is one of my favourite symptoms I like to work with. It's very common. In fact, it's actually in all of us. Anxiety is a very natural and normal response to threat situations. It's the term the fight or flight response, if you've ever heard of that. It is an emotion that enables us to keep safe. We cannot get rid of it. It's with us our whole life, but I guess the problems arise when anxiety starts to take over a little bit, and it starts to lead to situations where we either start to avoid situations because of the anxiety, or we feel out of control with it, or maybe we even develop behaviours to try and help us cope with it, more like rituals or obsessive compulsive disorder thoughts, things to do with fears of germs, etc. So anxiety as a concept is really quite complex, and the solution to anxiety is many-fold. There's lots of different pathways in to address it. But the first thing to say is, what does it feel like? Well, anyone who has got anxiety will display a variety of symptoms. It can be anything from just feeling uneasy or feeling that your stomach is turning over, all the way through to feeling that your mind isn't thinking straight. Some of the symptoms that you might get in your body are to do with the body getting ready to either fight or run away from situations. So for example, you might start to feel hot and sweaty, your heart rate might go up, your breathing will go up. That's your body trying to respond to the threat, trying to make sure it's ready to take action, get out of the situation. Other symptoms might be that you might need the toilet, you might feel that you need to go to the loo a lot, you might find that you feel the sicky feeling in your stomach. It might be all the way over to panic attacks where your breathing goes very, very erratic and you can't seem to control it. In fact, you almost feel that you're going to die, or you feel embarrassed or humiliated in the presence of other people. All these symptoms are very normal responses to anxiety, but we need to look at various things around it, like how would we manage those symptoms, but also thinking a little bit about how does our thoughts and the way we think contribute to that anxiety. So these days, the threats to us are no longer animals or spiders or tigers. We don't live in that kind of world in the Western world now. The threats that we tend to feel are threats to our self-esteem or our social standing, but these can still elicit the same responses, like as if there is a tiger. And so it can get very, very confusing for people, and I really get that. So what I want to do in the next set of videos is just begin to look at how do we address the physical symptoms that we get with anxiety, but also perhaps looking at the way that we think and how that might contribute to it too. I might also begin to look at also that even though we have an element of anxiety in our life, it might not be the very thing that we're worried about. For example, I have worked with clients where they're very worried about their relationship and they keep having doubts about their relationship, and actually when I speak to them, their relationship is really good. It's actually generally very good. But what's happening is there's a whole load of pressure and stress going on in the rest of their lives, and the anxiety and the pressure from that area gets funneled down into doubts and worries about a particular situation like the relationship, or like things like health anxieties. So when we've got a lot of pressure going on in our lives, anxiety, free-floating anxiety can find a home, and it can look like that's the problem, but actually the problem might be elsewhere. So I'm really hoping that you enjoy these videos. I will post them up, and I'll do anxiety 1, anxiety 2, anxiety 3, so you can just work through them at your own pace.